So, my favorite joke is just 12 words long. A skeleton walks into a bar, orders a beer and a mop. So here's the really good news for those of you who laughed. According to research on the brain, you have the analytical skills and ability to be outstandingly successful in life. As for the rest of you, the ones who are still going, I don't quite get it, you're going to need some different life skills. So repeat after me. Would you like fries with that? A leading researcher on the brain argues that humor is the most important aspect. It's the most important behavior of the brain. I should have flipped that up a little bit earlier, huh? Now, to understand what that means, to understand how humor is the foundation of the analytical mind, we really need to start with the basics. Why are jokes funny? And maybe you can help me understand why my cat laughs at me all the time. So, most jokes are built on the same structure, right? There's the setup. A skeleton. He's the primary actor in the joke, the subject of the joke. And in this case, the signal that it is actually a joke. Because really, in real life, how often do you begin a sentence with a skeleton? Walks into a bar. Ah, the classic joke location, right? Horse walks into a bar, bartender says, why the long face? A priest, a rabbi, and a nun walk into the bar, the bartender says, what is this? Some kind of a joke? All right. Hey, look, for the amount of money you paid to get in here, what'd you expect? Jimmy Fallon? Then the expected. What does one do in a bar? He orders a beer. Or for purposes of avoiding a trip to Principal Williams' office, pages 12, 13, and 16 of the student handbook, I am a lawyer after all. Let's make it a beverage, okay? Well, this builds up the tension of the story, doesn't it? Huh, I wonder how this is going to end, right? And then, the unexpected, the punchline, and a mop. Huh, boy, I didn't see that one coming. The aha moment, right? Where the punchline sort of teases our expectations in a clever and unforeseen way. In other words, it cracks us up, right? Now, think about how much work your brain has to do to process all of this for a joke that literally took less than 5 seconds to tell. You hear the words a skeleton, and all of a sudden, the neurons kick in. A skeleton, what is that? Oh yeah, a lot of bones, this and that. Enters a bar, ooh, context, location. What is a bar? What does a bar look like? What happens in a bar? What do we do there? Orders a beer. Well, of course, that's what one does, or a beverage. Sorry, Principal Williams orders a beverage. Of course, that's what we do. That's the expectation. And then a mop. A mop? Why the heck's he ordering a mop? Wait a minute. What do I remember about skeletons? Oh yeah, bones, yeah, no digestive system. Let's see. So when I drink normally, the liquid goes down my throat into my stomach, self-contained, at least for a while, and then, oh, skeleton doesn't have a stomach. Oh, well, what's going to happen then? Oh, it's going to go right through him. He literally can't hold a Snicker. Huh. And then what happens? He makes a mess. Oh my God, what do you do when there's a mess? No, you don't call your mother. You get a mop. What's it going to do with the mop? It's going to clean it. Oh yeah, now I get it. And all of that happened in about a millisecond after you heard the punchline. This is no laughing matter, people. Humor is serious business. It's the ability to find humor in everyday life that makes what goes on inside of your brain so important. And what goes on inside of your brain when it's dealing with humor translates to the analysis that makes you successful in so many other ways. This mental process that you go through just to understand and have a laugh is really quite serious. The ability to see humor in life means you can do a pretty amazing thing. You can think sideways. That is, you can see the unexpected. And that is the key to creativity. But Ron, you ask, I'm really not very funny. I really don't know how to tell a joke, and a lot of times I don't get the jokes. Am I destined to become one of the French fry people? Have no fear, citizen. We have some tips for you in a little while to help you channel your inner comedian. I'm going to come back to this slide in a moment, and here's why. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a technology guy. I put it in the wrong place. Okay? Sorry. I don't have an IT section, when I do these things. I'm a recovering lawyer, as you heard a little earlier. I started my legal career in California, actually, and then moved to Indianapolis several years ago. And that does remind me of sort of an interesting fact I want to share with you. New Jersey has more toxic waste dumps than any other state in America. But California has more lawyers. Do you know why that is? New Jersey had first choice. Dr. Edward de Bono is a really smart guy. Nominated for the Nobel Prize, one of the leading authorities on creative thinking and innovation. He's the fellow who thinks that humor is the most significant behavior of the human brain. He thinks that what goes on inside your cranium when you're hearing a joke is incredibly important. Why is that? So there's this other smart guy, Aristotle, who said that the secret to humor is surprise. This is what cognitive scientists call the incongruity resolution theory, which really makes me want to party with those guys. Here's what they say. Humor is perceived at the realization of the incongruity of your expectation. Think about that for a moment. And then tell me what the heck it means, because I don't get it. No, I really do get it. This is what it means. It means your brain has the ability to connect the dots, to see new things in new ways, to see a new picture where something old existed. Think about this picture for a moment. You see an Ohio State graduate standing on your front porch, right? What do you think this means? It means you need to pay him for the pizza. This same skill set, not the pizza delivery part, but the connecting the dot parts, is the key to creativity. So, Dr. Bono, creativity means breaking out of established pattern, looking at things in new and different ways. It's the ability to ask new questions. Things like, why isn't there another word for synonym? Or the question that has troubled lawyers for many a year. When a mime gets arrested, does he still have the right to remain silent? Inquiring minds want to know. The benefits of humor are well known. Oh wait, I got to go the other direction, don't I? I told you I'm not the technology guy. Disappear magically. The benefits of humor, right? They're well known. The physical benefits. Did you know that laughing releases endorphins and dopamine into your system? That's right. Instead of running 5 miles a day to get those benefits, you can sit on the couch, eat Doritos, and watch Comedy Central all day. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, right? It's good for your emotional well-being. You tend to be less stressed out, reduced anxiety. You're happier, more optimistic. You sleep better, right? You want to know how to really sleep like a log? Curl up with your blankie in the fireplace, right? Then there are the social benefits. A little slow over here. I'll talk slower next time. The social benefit. Humor brings us together, right? Nobody likes to laugh alone. You see somebody laughing by themselves, kind of creepy. Seriously. And think about it. Which of the 7 dwarfs would you rather hang out with? Grumpy or happy? Huh? Easy choice. But it's the cognitive benefits that are most important. And it's not just because those are the benefits that are going to make you the most money. Note to students, all right? Again, the ability to find humor in life is actually the tool that helps you sharpen so many of the other habits of the mind that you all have been studying about. Okay, fast forward. Hi, Dr. Bono. Yeah. Boom. I think some of you have seen this slide before, right? We're going to look at a couple of these brain slices. How does humor help sharpen some of these habits, right? Let's just touch on a couple of these. Persisting down at the bottom. As this talk demonstrates, not every joke is funny, right? So you've got to keep at it with humor, right? Don't give up. Keep going. Persistence is important. But you have to manage the impulsivity, right? There's a time and a place for everything. Every occasion does not call for a joke. Uncle Bud's eulogy, perhaps. Not the right time to try out your new comedy routine, right? questioning and problem solving, applying past knowledge, context, and the like, right? Thinking and communicating with clarity and precision. These are all traits that help you think sideways, right? Help you understand context, expectations. It helps you remember that brevity is the soul of wit, right? Okay, still with me? You want to get serious about being funny? What do the pros do? So people go up to Steve Martin all the time and they say, Steve, how can you be so funny? And he says, you know, it's really quite easy. I put a piece of bologna in my shoe every morning and I feel funny all day. Sometimes it's just making the effort, right? Scientists have demonstrated that if you act like you're feeling an emotion, you start to feel that emotion. Students, have you ever heard your parents say, well, you can at least act like you care? Huh? Right? I know my teenage daughters have heard that a lot. But I want you to do an experiment with me, all of you, okay? I want you to take your fingers, and I want you to pull your lips up into a smile, like this. All right? Do you feel funny now? Huh? Now turn and look at your neighbor. Yeah? Do you feel funnier? Huh? Right? And the good news, not nearly as messy as lunch meat in your flip-flops. Okay? Now, think about what you just did when you made faces at each other. You're willing to be silly. You let your guard down, right? You let your inhibitions aside. You sort of put aside the judgmental nature of things and just kind of let yourself be yourself. And this openness to new ideas and concepts, this is, again, the key to creativity. Now, I noticed bright lights and all, but I could see some of you didn't play along. Some of you didn't quite get with the act, right? Let's work on some more life skills with you. Repeat after me. Would you like to make that a combo meal? Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not giving you students permission to be total goof-offs, right? We have responsibilities in life. We have things we need to do, and we need to take that seriously. The thing we shouldn't take seriously is ourselves, right? Do things well, do things seriously, but don't be too serious when it comes to yourself. Don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. Let me ask you this. Who do you think has the toughest job in the world? Perhaps other than your teachers who have to deal with you, on a daily basis, right? Well, President of the United States has kind of a tough job, but he can make fun of himself. This is from a recent White House Correspondents' Dinner. He said he was thinking about adopting his wife's hairstyle because it turns out that Michelle Obama's bangs have a higher approval rating than President Obama has. Here's another serious and smart guy, former governor, Mitch Daniels. You see he's Gomez here on the left and Mad Hatter, I guess, on the right. Now the president of Purdue. Serious guy, incredibly smart, incredibly talented. But every Halloween would dress up because he didn't take himself too seriously. And there's a lesson in this for all of us. Even if you're saying, a partner at a big law firm. It's okay to get your groove on at Halloween with your kids, right? You know what the really sad thing about that picture is? I didn't have to buy a single piece of clothing. I even had the wig from some theatrical thing we did in the past. And then on the right, this is a picture I posted on Facebook not too long ago when I took my oldest daughter out for her first driving lesson. I thought, yeah, I know we've got the steel cage and side curtain airbags and all this and that, but maybe the batting helmet wouldn't hurt. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So how to be funnier, right? It's not terribly complicated. There's nothing really new or revolutionary about any of those bullet points. It's not information that none of you hasn't seen before, thought about, perhaps even live on a regular basis, but it's easy to forget it from time to time. That's why humor needs to become a habit and not just something that you do once in a while. Finding humor needs to sort of be ingrained in what you do. These things don't have to be complicated either. It's as simple as the advice that the green grape gave to the purple grape. Just breathe. Red Skelton, no relation to the guy in my joke, but Red Skelton was born in Vincennes, Indiana, 100 years ago this year. He was a very popular performer. In the old vaudeville days, early radio and TV, had a very popular TV show that ran from the late 50s until 1970. Blank faces in the younger part of the audience. Ask your grandparents or your parents if they're as old as I am, because when I was a kid, I used to love watching the Red Skelton show. The show was filled with all kinds of silly characters and funny voices and lots of slapstick and goofy faces. The closest thing we have to that today is Congress. And it reminds me of that old saying, you know, that if the opposite of pro is con, what's the opposite of progress? Well, unlike me, Red Skelton was never mean-spirited. He was a kind and gentle soul. And he had a wonderful life philosophy I want to share with you. Live by this credo, he said. Have a little laugh at life and look around you for happiness instead of sadness. Laughter has always brought me out of unhappy situations. So humor is not just a good habit of the mind, it's a good habit of life. Find the joy, and then as the philosopher Joseph Campbell would say, follow your bliss. Now all of you, especially this is directed at you students, you're all destined to do great things. For some of you, your efforts will bring you wide acclaim and public acclamation. But for most of you, as is the case for most of us, the greatness of our actions will be noticed only by our closest family or friends, maybe members of the community, far from the bright lights of the public sphere. But each of you can harness these habits of the mind to do amazing things that benefit all of humanity. So use your powers for good. Go out there and be great humanitarians. Now I'm really starting to sound like a graduation speech, so I'm going to wrap this up because you're going to get all that next week, right? But it does raise another question I've often pondered. If vegetarians eat vegetables, what do humanitarians eat? So the next time you see a skeleton in a bar, please get help. Because really, in real life, you shouldn't see a skeleton wandering around anywhere. But if you do see one, right after you call a friend for a ride home, go ahead and thank him. Thank him for helping you sharpen the habits of your mind. Because if you can't find the humor in that scenario, then work with me on this new life skill, okay? Repeat after me. Please pull up to the second window. Of the three quotes up here, I have to admit I like Mel Brooks the best, just probably because I like his humor. So in the spirit of Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, how about we end this with a couple of good old-fashioned knock-knock jokes, right? You willing to play along? Sure. All right. Knock, knock. Who's there? Control freak. Now, you say control freak who? Go home and think about that one. Knock, knock. Who's there? Boo. Boo. Yeah, I'm sad that we're out of time also, but that's the way it is. Look, you've been a great audience. Be good to your wait staff, okay? Thanks. I'll be here all weekend. Oh, sorry. I didn't mind it. No, instead, let me end like this. This is the way Red Skelton used to end all of his TV shows, and it just seems like a nice way to end this talk. Good night, and God bless.